It's Em
and Care
on air. Hi everyone, welcome back to Em and Care on Air. Today we have two special guests for this episode, and we'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Jeremy. I'm going to Boston University, and I'm going to be majoring in acting. I was involved in the Junior Classical League at school, as well as the theater program, and I was also the leader of the Sexuality and Gender Alliance at Key. And my favorite senior year class was, this is a basic answer, but Comp Lit. I thought that was really fun.
It's a good choice.
That's great.
I'm Christian Dent. I'm going to Drew University. I'm majoring in finance. I'm also going to play lacrosse there. My favorite senior memory is, I'd probably say the Y Islands camping trip. Favorite class is probably environmental science.
Alright, and so this episode, we're going to try and focus on some more senior advice and just some more tips that you guys have, some reflections from your final year. So we'll just kind of start off by saying, what was your favorite senior year memory?
I feel like there were a lot of moments this year that were super great as a grade as a whole. I felt like I really connected to the grade and the school. But I'd say my favorite memory was probably painting the mural. I felt like a lot of people turned out, a lot of people really came working their best, and it was just a really fun day, even though I got a big sunburn. It was a frog and toad mural. I think the quote was, having a friend like you makes everything better. It was the bike of a frog and toad together riding the bike up the pipe. It was great, yeah.
I mean, I say Y Island, but I think one of my favorite senior memories is just a lot of the sporting events, like all the senior games this year. I think lacrosse was like, getting to the championship was probably one of my favorite just because I've been playing with the same people for like the last 4 years. It was my last season as a key athlete. So I think going to the lacrosse championship is probably my favorite memory.
And so you were both obviously very involved in extracurriculars with theater and with sports. Can you guys talk a little bit about how you managed your time, how much time you had to commit outside of school to those activities, just kind of some stuff like that?
Right, so in junior year, I decided that I wanted 2 free blocks instead of 1. And I think that really helped me manage my work because, senior year, it's a big workload, especially in the fall with college apps as well as like your regular stuff. So having those 2 free blocks really freed up my schedule to be able to plan for JCL meetings, plan for theater, be able to learn all of my lines. For example, theater, it's like a 2-hour commitment every day, especially when you're a senior and you have like a lead role or you're assistant directing like I was in the spring. You kind of have to devote a lot of your headspace to it. So that was definitely taking up a lot of my free time. I was getting home at like 7 every night because it's a commute home. But I think because I had that free time in the day to manage my homework, it was easier.
Yeah, I totally agree because I think around junior year, I wanted to play lacrosse in college and I knew that. And so a lot of my time I spent on the weekends and after school was at API. So I didn't really have a lot of time to do anything else besides like play lacrosse. And Key School is very demanding from outside of school stuff. So I think in school, it's just trying to get all my work done before the day ends so I can go home and sleep and rest up after my practices. And then I have the weekend just not to worry about anything and go up to API, play lacrosse, and not have the Sunday scaries as much as I would if I had to come home and be working till like 11 p.m. So I think just having those free blocks, having like the afternoon breaks, like that helped me a lot.
This is just one more kind of like fun question. What do you like about playing goalie?
Just that no one else can really like do it. Like it's kind of like I'm the only goalie at the school. So it takes, and no one wants to play goalie. Like I didn't want to at all. I joined lacrosse on the impression I was going to play attackman. That wasn't going to happen. Like all the seniors kind of pressured me to play goalie, but I was good at it. And so I stuck with it. And I think I like that to have a backup because like no matter how hard a game is, I can't get taken out. I have to stay in there. And I think that's helped my mental toughness like a lot.
And then Jeremy, for you, what's been your favorite role to play or show to help out in?
Well, the last show at Key that I did, Putnam County Spelling Bee, I assistant directed as well as acted. And I was doing set design. I did some poster design. I was kind of like jack of all trades in that show a little bit, especially because it was our new director, Missy W's first year doing a high school show. And I just really, really enjoyed myself. I enjoyed taking that leadership role. I enjoyed leading warm-ups and activities and really connecting with both the high schoolers and the 7th and 8th graders that we brought in to be the ensemble. I felt like we really created like this community, and I enjoyed despite all of my stresses, being able to really work on it. It felt like not my baby, but something that I had really put in a lot of like blood, sweat, and tears into.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Would you say that was your favorite?
Yeah, I think so. All shows at Key, I think Putnam was probably my favorite.
Let's move on to one thing that you guys have never expected to do throughout high school at the Key School.
I mean, I already kind of talked about lacrosse. Like, I came to Key School with the impression I was going to play basketball, and I went from not even wanting to play lacrosse my freshman year, and then playing my sophomore year, and I loved it so much I didn't play basketball my junior year. So I was not anticipating that to happen at all. But I'd also say, like, the activities I did outside, like during school, I didn't expect to do environmental awareness and become a leader. That's just something I didn't envision. I also didn't envision myself leading a board games activity. Like, if you told me that I'd do that freshman year, I'd probably just call you stupid. But I mean, that did happen. So I think leading two activities was the thing I was most surprised about doing.
I would echo that sentiment. I definitely, coming into Key School, 9th grade, I was pretty insecure, I was pretty anxious, and I never envisioned myself taking really any leadership roles, but my Latin teacher kind of pushed me into taking the junior classical leadership role with Caroline. I ended up leading Saga as well, and really kind of taking, by junior year, sort of this leadership role in almost everything I was involved in, which it really helped my confidence, I guess, and my interpersonal relationships with people, because I was very worried coming into Key that I wouldn't be able to connect with people in the way that I have and the way that I did. And so, it was a very pleasant surprise that I was able to really take that leadership role and take ownership of, the spaces I was in at Key.
And not to be like too bogged down or like reflective, but is there anything you wish you could have done at Key that you didn't have time for or wasn't available?
I do wish I had played another sport. I played tennis spring 9th grade. I was so bad at it. Like, it was kind of a horror story. But I don't know. I wish I had tried a different sport. I wish I had tried again, because I feel like, I wouldn't have had the time for it really, because I was doing shows a ton. But I don't know, played a sport, gone to more sports games, that sort of thing.
I think doing swimming is probably something I thought about just because it'd be funny to me. But I also say I would want to perform once at Coffee House just to do it. I feel like I'd be probably terrible at it, but it's just the fact that I did it that would probably make me feel accomplished. So looking back on it, if I could do it again, I would probably perform at Coffee House. I was planning to do it this year, but we had an away game, so I got back at like 8:30, so it wasn't possible, but I think that's probably mine.
What sport would you have done, Julian?
See, that's a hard question, because I'm bad at all of them. But I probably would have done some asking around, like, what's the most chill sports team at Key? Something JV that doesn't really, care if you're...
Could have started a men's
Horrible.
volleyball team.
Oh,
They talked about doing
started
volleyball.
it?
Could have
Yeah.
started it. We all wanted to start one.
I would have been so great at that.
So in the last episode, we asked if we could add any class that you would want at the Key School. What would you want to learn?
Probably like financial literacy, something like that. Like that shows kids how to work with money and how it works. Just because I had to do an outside of school course for that. I'm going to finance anyway, so I'm kind of biased, but that would be mine.
That is such a hard question.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of my personal interests are represented by the Key School Civ curriculum. I feel like maybe more specific history electives that are taught once every 2 years or 3 years or something like that would be pretty interesting. I want to see the Civ teachers really teach a class about a period of history that they're super nerdy about, because I always love hearing people's very specific interests. Other than that, I think improving the acting classes that we already have at Key, because I think that they could really use a revamp for sure.
And then I guess kind of speaking about classes, how did you arrive to your senior year schedule?
Well, I mentioned before that I wanted to structure in 2 free blocks into my schedule.
Yeah.
I really went into my course registration with that in mind. I also was talking with Laura over junior year, and I came into Key really wanting to have a broad spectrum of experiences, so I wanted to take science 4 years, math 4 years, something in every subject for the 4 years. And so I talked with Laura about which classes looked the best, the most rigorous on your applications, what are the most rigorous classes at the Key School, which I sort of regret thinking about, but also not really. I don't know. I made it through.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm going to take the hardest class at Key, so I decided to register for chemistry. And because I registered for chemistry, I didn't want to take calc, so I took stats instead. And I really appreciate that I made that choice. I don't think I would have been able to handle calc for all the stress that stats has given me, like all of the retests that ADL afforded were really helpful. And then I wanted to take an art because I wanted to take the art AP, so I did advanced studio, comp lit, and then Latin because I wanted to take 4 years of that.
I think that my biggest thing was I just wanted to take things that interested me. So like environmental science, I willingly signed up for it to do. And I also did a leadership theory and practice in the first semester. And I didn't have that originally on my schedule, but I was for the first time I was a varsity team captain, and I knew I was going to keep playing sports after high school. And I felt like my leadership skills were definitely not as developed as I want them to be. So I think my biggest thing was just trying to take, like you mentioned, taking classes that like are more challenging. I want to take classes that are going to help me kind of grow as a person more than that. So I think taking that theory and practice class was outside of my comfort zone, but I'm happy I did it.
What are you guys most proud of to be leaving behind at Key? Or what are you most proud of to have done in the past 4 years at Key School?
Well, I don't know. I think that I've mentioned this before, but Junior Classical League, leaving that behind at Key is definitely a high point for me. I think that over the 3 years that I've been doing it, it's really grown and just kind of flourished into this group of hardworking people who are kind of very interested in what we do and what, our competitions. We're going to be hosting state convention next year, which is huge because it's only our 4th year of actually being registered with the Maryland Junior Classical League. I think that we've just created this culture that is so involved and so supportive of everybody, and the membership really spans a wide range of people. Like, we have people who are interested in sports and in theater and who are only interested in Latin, and kind of people from all areas of the school coming together and meeting, once a week just to discuss, like, the nerdiest thing ever, which is Latin around it, and all of our accomplishments, all of our awards, and yeah, that's it, basically.
And just off that point, you're minoring in Latin as well, right?
Yes, I definitely am.
Are you looking to join, the Senior Classical League or the...
I don't know if Boston has a chapter, but I might start one. I don't know. It depends on how much free time I have doing acting, but we'll see.
I think mine, and both my activities I'm pretty happy to hand off to. Like, my little brother next year is going to probably be in a situation to lead environmental awareness, which is pretty cool to me. Anthony is leading on the board, so I'm happy that they both survived this year. Obviously, like, it's a homer pick, but I'm happy that we got to go to 3 straight championships too, because when I've been at Key the first 3 years, we weren't bad at athletics, but like, we weren't good at them. So I think it was pretty cool as a senior class to, I guess, go through all of the bad times together and kind of take it out in 1 year and just be good at everything. But yeah, I'd say my activities and just us going to all the championships were, I'm very happy with, and the soccer championship we won, so I'm happy to leave that behind.
All right. How do you think your high school experience will shape your future in college?
I think mine is knowing how to use open time and I guess learning natural consequences. Like, my biggest growing point was freshman year. I think as a new kid, I was like stuck with like the predicament of like when you have free time, and we had like 3 breaks. We still have 3 breaks, and when you're a new kid to the school, you have to wonder, do I want to do work now or do I want to go out and make friends? Because my biggest fear is like falling behind and like not talking to anyone and just kind of I want to get ahead of making friends early. So I spent a lot of that time just not doing any work at school. And then I also played JV soccer. It's the first time I ever played like a high school sport. And that just didn't go well for me because then I would get caught up with so much missing work because I wasn't using the time at school. I wasn't using my time correctly at all. And so over the years, I learned that those breaks, those free blocks in school are so much more helpful if you actually take advantage of them. So I think using open time, managing time, and natural consequences of not doing work and then getting caught behind are the things that I think are saving the most.
Yeah, I would agree, especially with the not getting caught behind. I think high school has been a little bit of a trial by fire, both socially and academically. I think that socially speaking, I've learned a lot, about making friends and about connecting with people and kind of meeting people where they're at. Because, when I came to Key, I had no clue, and I sort of, I guess, finally made it by senior year to where I'm friendly with everybody and kind of know how to interact with people that I don't necessarily feel instant kinship with or like an instant connection to. Academically speaking, I would say that I've, especially senior year, had to teach myself new study habits and teach myself study habits, period. Because before, I was kind of like gliding on what I already knew or what I could just get from sitting in class. I wasn't really studying before tests. I was kind of just leaving it up to fate. And now I'm definitely not doing that. Thank you, chemistry. I am definitely studying and doing review. And I actually think having midterms and finals in the last 2 years at Key have helped me, even though I've hated every single one I've done. So I think that's definitely prepared me for college.
What is a piece of advice that you would give to rising seniors?
I think definitely just enjoy it. It goes by way quicker than you think. Like, it feels like yesterday's senior sunrise was happening. Obviously, stay focused, but there's little things that you're never going to get to do in your life. Like, you're never going to get to go on, like, a senior week. You're never going to have another senior game again. Like, especially for, like, one sport, like, they really go by fast. I think just enjoy the little things. Like, you're the oldest kids in the school, so there's nothing really you have to lose. Like, I think what I learned, like, I wasn't scared of, like, embarrassing myself anymore, for better or worse. Just take classes that kind of sound fun, but will also challenge you. Like, mine was Arabic. That was more challenging than I expected, but that was also like self-inflicted. So I'd say just like have fun with it, but stay focused and don't take anything for granted because it goes by really fast.
Yeah, I would say that there's always time to catch up academically. There's not always time to make up for the experiences that you will get. And obviously take what I say with a grain of salt. My study habits don't work for everybody. Like, the way I learn doesn't work for everybody. But if you, want to do a play, if you want to do sports, if you want to do coffee house, but you have to spend the week practicing instead of doing your stats homework, then do it, I think that making up work after the deadline and still having that experience is worth a late grade, like an A- instead of an A, B+ instead of an A-, whatever. Like, it's going to be okay in the long run because you'll have had that valuable experience and you'll have learned something new about yourself, whether or not you like it. Do you guys wish you had gone to a different school than Key? Like, how do you feel about going to Key specifically?
That's a good question. Like, I feel like I live really close by another public school, but I don't think I would have been the same person that I am today with like study habits and just kind of everything else without Key. Like, I don't think I would have as strong as an interest, not in learning, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Key has just shaped me a certain way to the point that like I wouldn't get the same experience or be the same person had I not gone to Key. And I'm really grateful to have like spent 6 years here.
I would say that he definitely, like you said, shaped me for who I am today. I think my parents made a pretty good decision of putting me into Key. I think that biggest thing, I probably wouldn't have worked on as much time management as I do at Key than in some other school because it's so rigorous. So.
And Christian, like you were saying, there's so many breaks that like you kind of trial by fire have to figure out your best approach and your best way to use those breaks to your advantage and kind of figure out what your style of working and style of like organization is.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
I think about it like more than you expect, but at the same time, I wouldn't have to exert myself. Like, I feel like because Key's like really hard to actually get through, especially coming in 9th grade. But I'm happy I stayed just because I feel like coasting through high school, sure, your grades might be a little bit better, but it's not going to help you in the long run. You're still going to have to learn it in college. So I'm happy to go into college knowing what a hard school feels like so I don't have to do it for the first time.
I would definitely agree. I really liked the experience of having a rigorous school. I would say I'm definitely grateful that he let me in because I applied late. I applied over the summer. I had already deposited to a different school for my 9th grade year, but it was sort of a last minute change. And I'm really glad that I did not end up going where I was slated to go. I'm really glad I ended up at Key because I don't think I would have grown into confidence in the same way that I did at Key. I feel like, for all people say about how like cliquey or, very like segmented Key social life is, it's really everybody's friendly and everybody's at the end of the day gonna be supportive of you. So I'm really grateful that I came into this community as opposed to a community that might be a little bit more hostile or a little less friendly.
Coming from, Christian, like an only child kind of background, I feel like you kind of already have a little bit of independence like built in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say being an only child really benefited me in a lot of different cases. Like I wouldn't have been able to afford Key if I had been, one of two or one of three.
Yes.
Even with like the scholarship I've gotten to Key, I wouldn't have been able to pursue acting. I wouldn't have been able to do really any of the things that I'm super freaking interested in right now. So I definitely have a lot to thank for being an only child. But independence is definitely one of the biggest skills that I've been developing since I was younger.
Yeah. I agree with that.
How does having a little brother shape your Key experience?
I mean, obviously, like, I'm happy I got to go through 2 years and then give him advice on what to do. Just because it can creep up on you. Like, we both went to St. Anne's for like 12 years, like our whole lives. So it's a big change. Like, it's a small school, but I had 15 people in my grade at St. Anne's. Then you go to having like triple that. So even though it's like Key School's super small, it feels decently big. So I'm happy I got this hand down advice, like little things that I picked up on during my first 2 years. And he's doing better off the jump than I did, so I think it's working a little bit.
Do you think being an older brother prepared you for being a senior in a way, like taking that leadership role at Key?
I mean, I would say leading as a senior is different than leading as an older brother. I feel like I'm a summer camp counselor at the school, so I think being an older brother is kind of like being a camp counselor. But I'd say, as you guys know, because I think you guys were all captains and you like played and stuff like that, it feels like kind of being like a school team captain in a way, like because you already know everything, like everything that they're going through. Probably you've been through at some point. So I'd say it doesn't feel like an older brother leadership. It feels like a team captain leadership.
And then speaking about college a little bit, I know UMBC and Boston, obviously South Carolina, are pretty huge schools.
Well, we're a very small school, so we don't have perspective, do we?
Yeah, I was going to say, because our graduating class is like 49 students. How do you guys anticipate kind of going from small-ish class of 49 to these big student bodies? Like, do you think he's prepared you socially to kind of navigate all these new connections?
I think it has, like, I don't think other schools are going to be as cliquey as Key can be. And I think it's good practice of going to, like, a college setting. I think it's going to be easier to socialize with a bigger school than a smaller school because everyone might not know you. Because at Key, I guess, this is going to sound like a shot to Key, but it's easy for people to just not judge you, but could get stuck with, like, a reputation just because it's so small and everyone hears things from someone else about you. So everyone knows each other and you can kind of get stuck with some image, but you can't really do that in college. I don't think you are going to be doing that anyway in college. So I think it has prepared me to do that, and I'm just excited to have people not know who I am every day than, everyone knowing who you are. Because it's a nice feeling, sure, but it can definitely get old after 4 years here.
Yeah, I would say I definitely echo that sentiment of being excited that people don't know my name and I get to kind of introduce myself all throughout the year instead of like, you have one chance to establish who you are as a person in 9th grade when you're like this awkward little kid, and then that kind of, you feel like that sticks with you throughout your 4 years, even if it doesn't necessarily. But I don't necessarily feel like he has prepared me for a big school like Boston U. I think I'm going to have to definitely be a lot more outgoing, take control of my own like life. That sounds really dramatic, but make sure that I'm going to events and make sure that I'm putting myself out there in a way rather than waiting for people to come to me and ask me, what's your name? But I also think that being part of the theater school, because theater classes are so small and you have this tiny cohort that sticks with you throughout your 4 years, I'm going to have some like built-in friends and constants in my life. I think that in my interests, they're pretty niche, so I'm going to be able to find these groups of people that I can click with.
I would probably say that, I don't know, I feel like I'm a little, at least already, outgoing. I wouldn't say Key has done that to me. I would probably say my parents have. My mother has specifically. She's outgoing. She always tells me, go out there, make friends, like, do your thing, be you, whatnot. Key has the same sentiment, but I don't think exactly that they have, like, taught me to do that. And I mean, yeah, you learn a lot of things from your parents, so that's just something else that I picked up on. But I would also say that I'm slightly more prepared to go into UMBC. Maybe that's because it's still in Maryland, but I am able, because most people that are going to UMBC are still in Maryland, so I'm able to make those connections now before we go in. Like, me and my roommate are trying to find our 2 suite mates. So I feel like my process is a little faster paced than other people's, because, well, we're really just trying to get, like, locked in on a suite. But I think that Key School itself may have not prepared me for just being outgoing and introducing myself. But I think, in general, I am ready and I am prepared to go out and to meet people. And it might be a little bit easier because I'm staying in here.
And I feel like this is true. This has a ring of truth with any school that you go to. Yeah. But at Key, you really shape your own experience.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like, you're in charge of making sure that you have a good high school experience, making smart choices with course registration, making smart choices with talking to your teachers, and, really putting the effort in to make friends and connect with people. Be involved in activities that are involved rather than activities that sit around doing nothing. Like, you really have to take control of that to an extent. And I feel like in that way, Key has prepared me for that larger social setting, because it's kind of like a DIY sort of setting. But I would definitely agree, like, it's not going to do the work for you. It's not going to teach you how to be that social person. You have to learn through that environment.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I pretty much agree with what everyone else was saying. I definitely think that I'm a little bit more introverted and kind of reserved at first. I think that senior year I was kind of trying to push myself a little bit more and be a little more outgoing, just because, like, that transition is going to be so, not difficult, but it's going to be a big adjustment going from, like, a small school to a huge school. But I agree, like, I feel like you said, Key hasn't really prepared me, like, personally, I guess, or specifically.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a wide range of personalities and types of people at Key that you kind of, like you were saying earlier, you kind of learn how to talk to different people, how to navigate those other conversations and stuff. So, yeah, it is kind of what you make of it and how you kind of push yourself.
Do you guys feel like being a senior on a sports team, there's a lot of pressure to make this, like, the best season yet? Like, make this, our senior season, let's take it all the way. Like, how did you guys, like, manage that pressure? Because for theater, it's sort of different. Like, we have 4 performances for 3 months of work. Yeah. But the way I see it, sports teams, they're kind of constantly performing periodically. And their experience is based off of how well you perform on every single game day, every single practice. Like, there's a lot more pressure, I see. How did you guys, like, feel about being a senior?
I'm not going to answer this quickly because it's going to be a quick answer. There was no pressure. Like, the only pressure that I felt was to kind of make sure that they were always having a good experience. And no matter the ribbons that they got, they were still interested in just wanting to have fun and have a good ride on their horse.
Okay, so it's weird. Like, soccer was, like, I guess the theme of that, it was the only sport, actually, I've played, like, at Key for 4 years. So it was more just kind of trying to take it in and enjoy it. But lacrosse, like, it's weird because I was playing, you guys, you're playing in college, so, like, why are you feeling pressure? It's not your last game you're going to play. But, like, I mean, you look at Theo, Austin, like, Sam, and, like, Davis, like, those are all, like, people I'm going to probably be friends with for my whole life. And I think for the championship game, you guys had to watch it. It was bad. Like,
it's not even that it was like, oh, you guys lost. This is your last game. Like, it's rough.
I mean, it was. I literally cried in my mom's arms for like 15 minutes after. Like, I was crying for like 45 minutes straight in total, just because, like, it wasn't because we lost the game. It was genuinely just because you look at the people next to you and you're not going to play with them again. And it's a spring sport, so it's like genuinely the last thing you do. Like
Yeah.
that was on a Thursday, and the next day from that was our last day of school as seniors. So, and then you have prom, and then you have this whole fever dream of a week where it's, oh, I just don't go to school anymore. I'm done. So
Podcasting it up.
yeah, so I think soccer, I was just trying to experience it, but lacrosse, there was definitely pressure because it wasn't even making it to the championship. That's why I'm like happy we did it. I didn't want to stop playing. I wanted to play the season as long as I could, and I'm happy we got to play it to the fullest extent. That's why I didn't want to lose first round or second round because I just wanted to, you don't want to stop playing with the people next to you, and I think that's the only pressure I faced.
Jeremy, did you get that kind of like sentimental during the final battle for Putnam?
For sure. For sure. Like, with every show that you do ever, like as an actor, there is a lot of emotions tied in with closing night because you know that you're never going to do a show like that again. Like, you're never going to do the same show. It's you basically saying goodbye to the entire experience, all of the songs that you sing, all of your lines, all of your costume changes, and the cast too. And I think at the end of Putnam, we have a night where all of the juniors do speeches for the seniors.
Oh my God.
So, we get flowers and, just hearing my speech came last, which was an honor. And just hearing that everybody valued, like, me and my contributions to Key, it really, like, made it sink in that I was never gonna do a show with any of these, like, incredibly talented, hilarious people ever again. And there is some sense of nostalgia, like, I wish that I had gotten more time, I wish that I had gotten to do more and be more with those people. And there is, of course, the pressure of, like, okay, I have to do well. Because theater is more individualistic, so, your performance depends upon you, whereas, like, in a team sport, you're sort of all reliant on each other. But, yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of that.
I would say there's a very big difference between last year being a captain and this year being a captain. But I would say being a captain this year, I was really struggling with specifically in invoking hustle, if that makes sense. Like, for our team, like, we are working as a team, we're not working as individuals. And this year was a pretty big challenge, thinking as a whole instead of as an individual. I think we were making strides. As a captain, I would say that I wanted to push myself. I know Lucy wanted to push herself and the team, but then it was challenging, but it wasn't a bad season. It was just challenging.
When I was a freshman, it felt like high school was going to genuinely last forever, and you don't really realize, you're on your way out. And so honestly, like, the last 2 months of school, like, it didn't hit me I was a senior until probably April. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm leaving in 2 months, so.
I'm just kind of going off what you said. Like, I don't really think it's hit me either that we're, like, I have the little countdown on my phone right now. That's just saying how many days we have until graduation, and it's 16 days until graduation, which is
That's not
crazy.
That doesn't feel real until we walk up on that.
Take the
Actually,
diploma.
probably until we.
After.
I think it'll feel real when we're doing the practice,
the rehearsal, yeah.
the day
Yeah.
before.
It's catharsis. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the culmination of
Yeah.
however long, 6 years that you've spent, like, basically spending all of your time here.
Yeah.
Like, putting your heart and soul into everything you do, and it's, like, over. I think it's just kind of the culmination of all of the stress of high school, all of, like, the happy moments that you've been through, like, I don't know, and the speeches are in a way, like, reminders of how much you've accomplished. And I feel like that, to me, is what makes it the most emotional.
Yeah.
Is, like, it's just bringing up this everything that you have been for the past 4 years. Overall, senior year, like, highlight, low light, and, like, what are you most excited for?
I like that.
Rose or bud.
I think the best part of it was just honestly having a lot of time with my friends and making a lot of memories with my friends. Like, I mentioned it like the whole episode, but I think I'm just grateful to have all the experiences and I guess this year I've had with my friends. Thorns definitely just Arabic 1 as a whole. I think that's been a really good challenge for me, especially like in the morning. So Arabic 1, no offense to Ustada, but that's Thorn. And I think the Bud's probably just graduation, senior week, and then just I'm excited for the future. I think that like the end of high school, I guess final chapter. I'm really excited for that part of it.
I would say that my rose, this is going to sound cliche, but I think prom was really nice. I felt like, I felt a lot of camaraderie with everybody. I think everybody, at least all of the seniors, really took it upon themselves to do one last outing before we're all kind of splitting up. So that was super awesome. Thorn, I would say the college process, I felt pretty low towards the winter. Like December, I was getting a lot of no's from my pre-screen, my acting process. So that was kind of disheartening for me. It definitely picked up in the spring when I got more yeses, but there was a dark night of the soul for a while there. And Bud, I would say I've loved my time at Key School, but I'm really excited for a change of scenery. I'm excited to go to a different city. I've never really been away from DC for any extended period of time. So I'm excited to just spread my roots elsewhere.
I would say my rose was probably one, Dove with our friend group. I think that was really nice. But only on the good days, not rainy days. And then two, I'd actually also have to say prom, but specifically taking pictures. I think that was so good this year. I think that was pretty fun.
It didn't rain at all, which was nice. The weather was really nice for prom for the first time in years.
I think we did all I don't know, our photos just not they turned out really well because they did, but I just think I just felt more communal this year than in other years. Thorn, probably, and the girls in Calc, that was really rough at first. So yeah, Calc was a little rough sometimes. And then, thank God for corrections and requizzes though. And then Bud, I'm just looking forward to start a new chapter. Even though I'm staying in Maryland, it's a different scene. So I'm super excited about that. I'm excited to keep holding on to my friendships that I've made at Key, but then also blossom into new ones. So
I would say for me, a rose would definitely be the last day of school, especially the last day of chem. It just felt, I don't know, we went over, which I thought was really funny by 20 minutes, and that just felt like a really fitting ending for the class. And just kind of knowing that, I survived that class. Yeah. We all survived as a class. And, obviously I'm going to see some of my teachers on graduation and stuff, but it was just really sweet to kind of be able to give them, not a final goodbye, but a final high school goodbye. It was kind of bittersweet. And then I would say a thorn is also the college process. I mentioned this episode too, but I'm a person that doesn't really like to not have control or any influence over my experience or surroundings. So, I said this last time too. Obviously you can control what classes you take, how well you do in them, what you submit to the college, but ultimately it's completely out of your hands for what they decide to do. And I know that kind of that December end of first semester was difficult for me because it was kind of when I was forced to reconcile with the fact that I couldn't change anything or affect any of the outcome. And then I would say a Bud is just kind of what everyone else was saying, being able to go to a new environment. And I'm hoping to be able to use this podcast as a way, as a little checkpoint and see this time next year or by the end of first semester, freshman year in college, how much we've grown or just how much, we've changed. So, those are mine.
Thanks, guys, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for listening to
Evan Care on Air.
Tune in to the next episode about the 3Ds.
Deadlines, decisions, and diagnostics.
Where we'll have a special guest, our college advisor at Key, Laura Baxter. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.